Alright folks, John Rush here today. My son Richard Rush behind the camera. We're going to do a review of the 2016 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. Now we've done this vehicle in the past. In fact, one of the first times we did the review on this TRD 4Runner, it was a concept vehicle, wasn't totally finished at that time. So this is basically, I want to say, Richard, this is our third one of these we've actually reviewed. Yeah, this is the third one we've done. Not a lot of changes for 2016. What makes this a TRD Pro? Well, it's got different suspension, it's got skid plates, it's got a blacked out grille, just different features. You can tell from looking at it that it looks different than a standard 4Runner. The Nito off-road tires give it a more aggressive look. It's just a different looking vehicle, totally off-road capable, works fantastic. We'll get into some of those details in just a minute. So what's new for 2016? They upgraded the Intune system, and basically this color that you're looking at right now, this, I call it kind of a sand color. I don't know what the technical name of it is, but it's basically a sand color. Really the same color that a lot of the old Land Cruisers used to have way back in the day. So if you're old enough to remember the old Land Cruisers, this was pretty much a standard color on those vehicles back in the day. So what are some of the great things about this vehicle? A lot of things I just said. Very capable off-road, works fantastic. You'll get a lot of reviewers out there that complain about, well, you know, it doesn't have enough power. And frankly, they're somewhat correct. It doesn't tow enough. You know, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. This is not a luxury SUV. This is a very capable off-road, hardcore four-wheel drive vehicle. This vehicle is going to compete with, you know, a Jeep Unlimited, Rubicons, things along those lines. Now, keep all of this in mind. When it comes to what's in the Middle East and Africa, Toyota rules the market. Richard and I both have been there. We know what we're talking about. You see Toyotas, not even a TRD Pro version, but you see Toyotas everywhere. Why? Because they're built to last, and they do. This is a vehicle that when it comes to even off-roading or on-roading, this vehicle will run 300,000 plus miles. I say all that to, let's do the walk around now. So as you get into the vehicle, it's got the projector beam headlamps, nice headlamps. I actually like the way they work. Again, there's some reviewers out there talking about how they don't work that great. I find they work out fantastic. LED lights in the back. Again, Richard's showing you some of the blackout, the black wheels. Just gives it a more aggressive look, aggressive stance. You'll notice, again, the higher suspension, Bilstein shocks all around, remote reservoirs on the Bilstein shocks in the rear. And again, the black accent on the bumpers also sort of separates the vehicle apart. Plus, the TRD Pro is all done in black. You know, the emblems are in black. And frankly, I like the vehicle. I think it's a good-looking vehicle. Really, in my world, you know, I bought my wife a Grand Cherokee just a little over a year ago. This was one of the vehicles of our choice. And I'll be honest with you, it was really high up there. I'll give you some of the reasons why I didn't go this direction. And frankly, it was just because my wife's driving it. Had I been driving it, this would be the vehicle we would have bought. My wife driving it, there's a few creature comforts that you get on the Jeep Grand Cherokee side of the fence that you don't get here. But if it were me, vehicle, daily driver, this would be a great choice for myself. I'm not a super aggressive driver. I don't need a lot of extra horsepower. You know, I don't need a fast 0 to 60 time. If you're looking for all of that, this is not the vehicle. Why? 4-liter, 270 horsepower is all you're getting out of this. And it's a heavy vehicle. This is body-on-frame construction, so the vehicle is heavy. You know, if there was one complaint personally even that I had was I wish it did have a little more power. I wish maybe on the TRD Pro they'd stick a supercharger on it, you know, factory, something along those lines. But hey, all of that to say this, it's a great vehicle. And you know what? One of the greatest features it's got is the interior room. So while we're here, I don't have the fob in front of me. I can open it that way also, but I'll just lift it up. It does not have a automatic lift gate. You do have to raise it up and close it. Not a huge deal. One of the coolest features on this particular vehicle, it's a $500 option, is this slide-out rear tray, which frankly works fantastic. If I was going to buy a 4Runner without the rear seats, which on the TRD you can't get anyway, so if I was going to buy a TRD Pro, I would get the sliding tray. I'd pay the extra $500. It makes unloading and loading super easy, and I'll give you an example. I bought a really heavy tool cart over the weekend, and it probably weighed around, I don't know, 150 to 200 pounds. It made it really easy to just lift it up onto this, slide it in, put a bunch of other stuff around it, and it works out great. Cargo space in this vehicle, 47.2 with the seats up like they are. 89.7 with them down, which I'll tell you what, and I'll fold one down right now. You can get a lot of stuff in the back of one of these. So this headrest, real quick, just to let you know how this works, you just flip this little lever, that headrest folds down, there's a button on the side, Oh, sorry. Gotta put the bottom seat up first. So lift the bottom seat up first, then fold the back down. Everything folds together, and this is where you end up with your 89.7, almost 90 cubic feet of storage in the back with both seats folded down. So with that, I'll tell you what I'll do. We'll stop the camera, and I'll jump into the back seat and show you how much legroom's back here. All right, folks, going to hop in now in the back. Now, one thing you will notice, and this is, again, part of the reason why I didn't buy this vehicle for my wife, it is a little bit higher getting in and out of the vehicle. This one has no step on it, which, frankly, I prefer. That's just me personally. I think the steps look goofy, and it makes the vehicle look lower. So I like the non-stepped vehicles. But for ladies, it makes it a little tougher getting in and out, because as you'll notice, you've got to step up and into the vehicle. It's not just a direct slide across. As far as room goes in the back, plenty. I mean, I get in the back of my wife's Grand Cherokee, and this has got way more room than the Grand Cherokee has got in the back as far as legroom. Not a lot of creature comforts. There are some vents here, a couple of power ports that are down here, and it does have a fold-down console right here in the middle, and there's no storage. It's really just strictly a couple of cup holders. And one thing I will mention, one of my complaints on this vehicle is when you are messing with the rear seats, this thing tends to just fold down on its own, and you're kind of fumbling around with this every time you actually bring the back seat up, or bring this particular middle seat up and down. This thing kind of folds down, gets in the way. I wish, Toyota, you'd had maybe some sort of a latch system or something where you had to push a button where that thing stays up all the time as you're folding the seat down, because there's times where it just gets in the way. Is it a con enough for me not to buy the vehicle? Of course not. But Toyota, if you're listening, one thing that I would like to see is just some sort of a latch on that where it's not always in your way, you're not fumbling around with it. But again, lots of room in this back seat. Not a lot of apportionments. This is a TRD Pro. It does have the Softex material. It makes it look like leather. It's not leather. It's actually easier to clean. It's a great material. Frankly, I love it. It's not leather. It's as easy to take care of as leather. And frankly, I'll bet it lasts as long as leather will. And again, really great on the back seat here. I'll jump into the front now. All right, folks, now we're in the front seat, 2016 4Runner TRD Pro. Again, it's comfortable. Enjoyed driving the vehicle. That part's nice. I'll get into more of that in the driving portion. No sunroof option. I haven't verified that, but from all I've been able to read on the media site and so on, is the TRD Pro no sunroof option, which frankly gives you a little more headroom. And for me personally, I'm not a huge sunroof fan. A lot of times they'll come in a package, you end up with a sunroof. In my own personal opinion, if you didn't have to buy one, I probably wouldn't. I think it's one of the most least used items on a vehicle out there. It's just my own personal opinion. But everything else in the front of this TRD Pro, pretty much standard as far as the way 4Runner looks. Not a huge nav screen. Some of the complaints in the media world is they wish this nav screen was a little bit bigger. Frankly, though, it's adequate. It works great. And again, if you look at what you're buying this vehicle for, it's for the off-road capability that it's got. It does have heated seats in the front. This is for the rear window, which I didn't mention a moment ago. You can slide the rear window up and down. So if you've got some things that are long that you want to stick out the window, still keep the gate up. Kind of a nice feature, because from here you can actually, and you can do it in the back, you can actually lower that rear window up and down. So kind of a nice feature. Kind of sets you back in the old days where the old, Suburbans and Blazers and stuff had the roll up and down windows, or even the old Land Cruisers did that. So again, some things that they've kind of taken from the old Land Cruiser days, not just the color, but really this is sort of the replacement, if you would, for that old heavy Land Cruiser. I realize they still make a Land Cruiser today, but it's much, much bigger than what the Land Cruisers of yesterday were. So this really is sort of the replacement, if you would, for that Land Cruiser. And frankly, it's as capable as what those old Land Cruisers used to be. Locking rear diff in the back, electronic locking center diff. This vehicle works fantastic. All the controls are in front of you as they should be, within reach, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You can get to everything within reach. I love the tune knob, something that we talk about all the time. And we'll get into the driving portion of this in just a second. You can change your crawl speeds and some things along those lines. Another thing that I do like about this, though, is just on normal driving. It's hard to explain this while I am driving. When you come down a long hill without doing anything, you just let off the brake and it will keep you at that speed even going down a hill, which most of you probably don't realize this, but a lot of the speeding tickets that are given out there is when people crest a hill, they start to go down, their speed picks up. bam, they're all of a sudden over the speed limit. That's where a lot of tickets get written. So this vehicle keeps you from that because it keeps you at a set speed. So tell you what, with all of that, let's just go take a quick drive. As we're driving, I'll give you my opinion, which I think you can already tell, of the 2016 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. All right, folks, we're going to start the drive, and as we always do, let's start off. Let me turn the AC down here. As we do, let's start off with the backup camera. It's one of the things that we just do so you can all see how that works. No dynamic grid lines here. And if it did have a trailer ball, you know, coming out, or a receiver hitch insert in it, you'd see that in the middle there. It would help you get the trailer lined up. But no dynamic lines. It's just static, but you can still see where you're going. Frankly, I'm not a big rear camera user, so for me, not a huge issue one way or the other. Everything else is you know, accessible. I'm not going to go into much of the Intune system. We've done that in other Toyota reviews. You can learn all about that by going to the Toyota website and find out more about it if you need to. No dual climate control. You'll also notice that in here. You just got your fan speed here, your blend, you know, what's going on as far as your vents are concerned. If you want to recirculate, and then your temp is to the right. Very, very simple. Nothing major there. As I go back into drive, everything, you know, turns back on and away we go. So again, one of the complaints on this vehicle as we get to driving here is that not enough towing capacity. Again, I don't know what reviewers are thinking you're going to tow a lot with this vehicle anyways. It's not what this vehicle is meant for. You're not buying a tow vehicle. You're buying a very capable off-road vehicle, great approach angles, that also works pretty well on the highway. So with that, let's go take a highway drive. All right, folks, start the drive now. We'll take a little bit of a, I should not say highway, but some city driving. Again, vehicle works well. It drives well. It's softer. This vehicle feels softer than a standard Toyota 4Runner does. And again, some of the reviewers out there complain about that. I'm not sure why, because you've got to look at what the vehicle is intended for. This vehicle is not intended to be a sports car. You're not going to take corners at, you know, 50, 60 miles an hour that are meant to be driven at 30 miles an hour. This is a fully capable off-road, sits up higher than normal vehicle. And in that case, it's going to have a little softer suspension, which makes it work well for the off-road side of the fence. And given all of that, it's not a sports car. So some of those other reviewers out there that complain about the suspension, not to debate with them, but I'm not really sure they understand what the vehicle is meant for, because if you drive the vehicle like you're supposed to, I don't have any issues with it. It works fantastic. It drives well, rides well, it's comfortable. It's got, with the bigger tires on it, it does have a little bit of a softer ride, I would say, than even the standard Toyota. Now, that's probably going to be minuscule. Most people probably wouldn't notice much of a difference in it. The biggest thing you're going to notice on this vehicle, especially for those of you that have smaller kids, ladies riding with you and so on, is the added height does make it a little bit more difficult to get in and out of the vehicle. Not a big deal, just something you need to keep in mind. So I'm going to pull over here in just a minute. We'll give you our opinion of this vehicle. I think you know, at this point, probably already know what our opinion is. The car works fantastic. I should say car, the SUV, the truck, you know, this is a body on frame, which really means it's a heavier truck, you know, SUV. The vehicle works great. You know, again, I don't want to debate some of the other reviewers that are out there, but if you look at what this vehicle is, what it's designed for, who it's marketed to, and I think Toyota's done a great job. The TRD Pros have been a hit. The hardcore off-road guys have been buying them. They work well. It's got all of the creature comforts that you would ever want to have, plus the durability and longevity that you get with a Toyota. So, you know, what are some of the cons? Well, at our elevation, the 270 horsepower engine on this heavy of a vehicle does seem to be a little bit, you know, on the light side. I wish there was a supercharge, even a supercharger option. So Toyota, if you're listening, bring back that TRD option, you know, or that TRD supercharger option, I should say. Even if it's a factory installed option, that would be a really nice feature. Used to be able to do that, you know, back in the day. It'd be nice if they added that back into the loop again. But again, the vehicle works great. Going to have a lot of great longevity with it. If I was going to buy a 4Runner, this would be my choice of 4Runners, just because I love all of the extra features that it actually gives you. So would I buy a Limited over this? No, I'd buy this for the off-road capability over a Limited. Just me personally. I didn't talk about price. This particular vehicle starts out at $41,550 with the optional rear slide-out platform that's in the back. It ends up being about $41,800 is what this particular vehicle is. So, in my opinion, very affordable, works great. Thumbs up, Toyota. You've done a great job. Go check it out at your local Toyota dealer. Test drive it today. Tell them that John and Richard Rush from Drive Radio sent you.